Welcome students, I am Sangeeta Sharma, your biology teacher. Today in this video we will do the revision of chapter 5 Human Body Respiratory System. So let's start students. In this video we will discuss about respiration, phases of respiration, breathing, human respiratory system, mechanism of breathing, phases of respiration in human beings, common respiratory diseases, ways to prevent respiratory diseases. First, we will take the topic respiration. Respiration is the process of release of energy by the breaking down of glucose present in the digested food of the living body. All organisms, including human beings, obtain oxygen from the air. When the glucose present in digested food combines with oxygen, it completely breaks down and a large amount of energy is released with the liberation of carbon dioxide and some amount of water vapors. In the absence of oxygen, the incomplete breakdown of glucose releases less amount of energy. In respiration, the energy released in the form of ATP, and the full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It is a chemical process, and the reaction of this respiration is glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide and water and release of the energy in the form of ATP. So this is all about the respiration. After this, we will revise phases of respiration. Phases of respiration. The process of respiration has two stages, breathing and cellular respiration. First, cellular respiration, breathing or external respiration. It is a physical process which involves inhaling air rich in oxygen and exhaling air rich in carbon dioxide. Cellular or internal respiration. It is a biochemical process in which glucose is oxidized to release energy. As a result of cellular respiration, carbon dioxide and water are formed as byproducts. On the basis of their mode of respiration, the process of external respiration or breathing is different in different organisms. However, the cellular respiration is similar in both plants and animals. Both of them take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide, water, and some amounts of energy. Now there is a one table, differences between respiration and breathing. By this table you will be able to understand more clearly. Respiration, it is a biochemical process, and on the other hand breathing is a physical process. Respiration occurs in every living cell of the body, but breathing involves mainly the lungs of the body. Respiration involves the breakdown of glucose into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. In case of breathing, it involves the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide through the body organs. Fourth point, it liberates energy. In breathing, it does not liberate energy. Respiration takes place inside the cell. Breathing takes place outside the cell. So all these are the differences between respiration and breathing. So you all have to learn this table also. It is very important. Human respiratory system. Human beings have a well-developed respiratory system that comprises of the nose, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and alveoli. In human respiratory system, lungs are the main respiratory organs where exchange of gases takes place. Nose and nasal cavity. Students, you have to see the diagram properly and listen to me what I am explaining. Air enters the body through the nose. Externally, the nose consists of two nostrils. The inner wall of nasal cavity is lined with hair and mucus. The hairs trap dust particles and germs.
that enter along the inhaled air. The mucus makes air passage moist and sticky. The membrane of the inner lining of the nose has cilia. The dust particles falling on the sticky surface and swept out by the cilia towards the throat, where they are either swallowed or coughed up to remove large foreign particles from the lungs. In this way, the inhaled air is cleaned before entering the lungs. Second organ is pharynx. Nasal cavity leads into a short tube called the pharynx. It is situated behind the nose and the mouth. It leads to an air tube called trachea or windpipe and a food tube called esophagus. The lower portion of the pharynx leads to the pharynx. The lower portion of the pharynx leads to the larynx or voice box. Larynx or voice box is located in the trachea, a short distance from the throat. It contains folds of muscular tissues called vocal cord that vibrates with the passage of air and produces sound. The larynx leads to the trachea. Trachea, or we can say it windpipe. Trachea is a long muscular tube extending from the larynx in the neck to bronchi in the thoracic cavity. The front opening of trachea, called glottis, is guarded by the muscular flap called epiglottis. The epiglottis closes the trachea at the time of swallowing of foods. The wall of the trachea have C-shaped cartilaginous rings that prevent the trachea from collapsing. The cells lining the trachea also have cilia which move dust particles away from the lungs. Now we have bronchi and bronchioles. Trachea runs in the middle of the chest up to a short distance between the two lungs, where it divides into two bronchi, the left bronchus and the right bronchus. After passing through the trachea, the air enters each bronchus and finally enters the lungs. Now, in the next slide, we will learn about the lungs. The lungs are a pair of spongy elastic organs. They lie in the thoracic cavity, protected by the rib cage, and rest on a muscular sheet called the diaphragm. The lungs are protected outside by two membranes called outer pleura and inner pleura. The space between the two membranes is filled with a fluid called pleural fluid. It keeps the lung surface moist for easy diffusion of gases. The pleural fluid also provides lubrication for expanding and contracting the lungs, so that the lungs are protected from any damage due to friction. Both the lungs occupy the maximum space of the thoracic cavity. They are located close to the thoracic wall and their lower parts rest on the diaphragm. The left lung is slightly smaller and has two lobes, whereas the right lung has three lobes. Now, mechanism of breathing. The mechanism of breathing comprises of two steps: inspiration or inhalation, or expiration or exhalation. In inspiration, the intercostal muscles expand, the ribcage moves up and outwards, so the volume of the chest increases and the diaphragm expands, which makes it flatten out. As a result, the chest cavity expands and the air moves down the windpipe and is drawn into the lungs. And during expiration, the intercostal muscles relax and ribcage moves down and inward, so the volume of the chest decreases. The diaphragm relaxes and returns to its dome shape and the chest cavity becomes smaller. As a result, the air is forced out to the lungs. The temperature of inhaled air is much lesser than the body temperature. The blood vessels present in the nasal cavity makes the inhaled air warm. The temperature of exhaled air is higher than that of inhaled air. It is very close to the body temperature. The exhaled air also contains a higher percentage of carbon dioxide and moisture than the inhaled air. Phases of respiration in human beings. There are three phases of respiration in human beings. The first one, breathing or external respiration. It is the inhaling of oxygen from the air into lungs and exhaling carbon dioxide back to the air. Second, gaseous transport. It involves the absorption of inhaled oxygen into the blood present in the lungs. This oxygenated blood from the lungs is transported throughout the body and reaches all the cells where the gaseous exchange takes place. During the gaseous exchange, the blood transports oxygen to the cells and collects the carbon dioxide from the cells. This deoxygenated blood transports back to the lungs for the removal of carbon dioxide. And the third one is cellular or internal respiration. In cellular or internal respiration, it is a process by which cells oxidize sugar into carbon dioxide and water to release energy in the form of ATP, means adenosine triphosphate. Now, the topic is common respiratory diseases. First, we should know what are the respiratory diseases. Respiratory illness is a common problem in our country. Most often, smoking, pollution, or infections are to blame. Respiratory tract, lungs, or both are affected in the disease of the respiratory tract. The first one is asthma. It is in a simple language, asthma narrows the tubes present in the lungs during an acute attack, which makes it more difficult for the patient to breathe. Coughing, wheezing, and shortness of breath are the symptoms. This disease can run in families or may develop because of pollution. Others prone to asthma may include those who smoke and those who are overweight. And the second respiratory disease is bronchitis. When a person has bronchitis, it is harder for air to pass in and out of the lungs. The tissues become irritated and more mucus is produced in the respiratory tract. The most common symptoms of bronchitis is a cough. And the third disease is pneumonia. Pneumonia is a general term for lung infections that can be caused by a variety of germs. Symptoms of pneumonia vary depending on the age and what caused the disease, but can include fever, shivering chills, cough, stuffy nose, very fast breathing, all these. Now next, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis generally affects the lungs but can also affect other parts of the body. Tuberculosis is a disease caused by the bacteria. This germ spreads through the air from the person suffering from TB. Acute cough, fever, and weight loss are the symptoms of tuberculosis. Now we should know the ways to prevent respiratory diseases. Wash your hands often, especially when you are around people with colds, as the germs spread through contact. Keep your hands away from your nose, eyes, and mouth. These are the places from where germs are most likely to enter in your body. Do not smoke or use other tobacco products. Smoking makes lungs and respiratory tract more infectious. If you live in an area that has problem with air pollution, wear a mask when you step out. Exercise regularly. Get a flu shot each year. Lastly, remember, nothing replaces a healthy diet. A balanced diet gives you resistance against disease. Thank you, my dear students, for watching this revision video of Chapter 5, Respiratory System. After watching this video, please write your name, class, section in the comment box. Thank you.